And now, and coming to you from Resistance headquarters, is Off the Grid, with the music business heritage, and Marlon Huntsberry, providing the information that you need to thrive as an independent, to build a powerful leverage, and carve out true empowered success.
Knowledge equals empowerment, and empowerment equals freedom.
Welcome to part 2 of episode 5.
Wait for a record label
That's
to
it.
decide whether you're worthy or not.
I mean, you can do that, and you can, okay, if at the end of the day, the public rejects you at this level. Now, you know, it just reminds me of something else we talked about, Miss Huntsberry. Who was it that we talked about? That was it Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash is not your typical average singer. Now, I know we're going back to the old classics people, but it's such an incredible story.
Yes.
I mean, have you heard Johnny Cash?
I mean,
he does
Google
not
him.
sound like
Yes.
everybody else.
Right.
And most major record execs would be like, no, I think I'm going to pass on this guy.
Yeah.
Just like Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan is a prime.
As a singer, you like, okay.
Pass.
But songwriter,
Yeah.
great,
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
But he found his niche.
Right.
The Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead.
Same thing.
Right.
You know, they never had big singles on the radio.
No,
Never
no.
had the huge,
No.
but they had this cult following.
Yes.
And they believed in
Right.
from house to house,
Yes.
show to show,
Right.
state to state.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, Mr. Huntsberry. These guys did not let a conglomerate, the fact that a conglomerate rejected their sound, they did not let that be a death warrant to their music.
And what we're telling you is, you don't even have to be subjected to the
No.
major's opinion.
You don't.
You can do that yourself.
Man, you
Put
can
it out there.
Yes.
You know, what if you find 10,000 people in Taiwan
Yes.
that just love you to death?
Yes, yes. Man, I was looking at it, so funny. I was looking at a Bun B video footage from Corey Mo. He's a client of ours. And
He's also a superhero. But
yeah,
anyway.
he's a superhero, yeah. We digress.
He's a
That's-
grinder.
Hey, the most unknown in Houston. But the thing is, man, they was in Europe.
Mhm.
Bun just did a tour there, but they were in, I forgot what country that they were actually in, man. But they showed the footage. Man, these kids were off the chain, man, at this show. I mean, what Marlon is saying, it's true. You don't know where your music is gonna hit. These guys, I don't know what language they were speaking, man, but they on the video you can see them mouthing the words that Bun B is saying. And I mean, when I tell you it was crunk,
Don't even
at that
speak English.
man, they was feeling it.
But they know the lyrics.
I mean, this is a southern country style of music, hip hop, but it's making a connection point overseas someplace.
Yep. I mean, this thing, what we're talking about is global. And I think what people have to realize, some of these artists
Yes.
that are waiting to be saved, is
Yes.
that you don't need to be saved.
You don't need to be
You
saved.
have the power within you to make the change, to generate the gravity that you need
Yes.
for your career to
Yes,
take
sir.
off.
Yes, sir.
You
Say
can
that
do it
again. Miss
if you're
Huntsberry.
willing to do the work.
Right. Say it again, Miss Hunt. Say it again.
Okay, I'm saying that the artists need to realize
Mhm.
that they can generate the gravity that they need for their career to take off.
Yeah, they don't need to be saved.
They don't need to be saved.
Don't try to be
These
saved.
artists do not need to be saved. All of these artists are saying, you know, I need a major record label. I need a deal.
Yeah, I need a deal.
What is a deal?
Yeah, what is the deal?
I could.
What is the deal with you needing a deal?
But we could tell you what the deal is.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
what you're calling a deal is a
Right.
bad deal.
It's a bad, man, it's a bad exchange, man.
Really bad. It
Yes.
is totally unfair.
Slander.
I don't know if I want to use the word fair because that's too subjective. But it's totally uneven.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's
who
slander.
benefits more?
That's
It's
right.
So slanted.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, you don't need to be saved. You have the power within you. I'm not just saying this as a cliche. It's not because we use the Matrix as a theme in our show.
Yes.
It is absolutely positive because remember, the stuff that they got from the Matrix come from real philosophy,
Yes.
real true life mythology.
Yes.
All this stuff is applied. Universal laws. It's
Yes.
all there.
It's all there.
Not to get too deep,
Right.
but
Get deep, Huntsberry. Don't go there, man.
we don't want to do that.
All right, sir.
But the thing is, you have the power within you. We talk about that on a daily. We live it. We walk it
Yes.
every day. This is how we're building our own universe.
Yes.
You could do the same thing with your band. You
Yes.
could do the same thing with your rap project. You could do the same thing with your jazz project. Whatever. If you're doing country, I mean, speaking of country.
Man, they're talking about the country.
Oh my God, this is how they function. How do you think the majors find their acts?
That's what they do, Miss
These
Humphrey.
country artists go out there and do it out the trunk like Johnny Cash.
Dude, man, they build a fan base.
You think the rappers are the ones that just doing that
No.
first and foremost? No, the
Mm-mm.
country artists have been doing that for decades.
It's their
upon
model.
decades.
Yes, sir.
It's how they do. Why? Because the format is as such. You have to go out and build your fan base
You have to
first
build your
before they
fan
would
base.
take a chance on you.
Man, let me shake your hand,
Now
Mr.
you go
Humphrey.
out there and do all the work,
Right.
and then you get 12%.
Yeah, it don't make sense, man.
They control your ringtone.
Yes.
They
yes.
control your MySpace.
Right.
They control. I mean, we don't even want to discuss 360 deals right now. But
Right.
nowadays, they're pretty much the standard average approach now, because the major label system is collapsing.
Right.
Everybody understand. These people have controlled, have programmed you to believe, and I use the word con.
Okay. Mhm.
Because they have basically conned and brainwashed you to believe that they're necessary and
Yes.
you need them.
Right. That without them, you're not legitimate for one. That you have no possibility to have national impact. And I guess the third thing basically is, like you say, you need a machine behind you. And, when we look at the way the environment of doing business in the entertainment industry has changed, those things are not true. It's just not true anymore. You don't need to be saved. I think Mr. Marlon, I just think it all comes back down to, like when we talk to people, like the conversation you had with the artists or band, that you mentioned earlier in the conversation. You can say that, we can say this, but it's going to be a continuous thing of us, and that's why this off the grid thing I think is going to be so important, is that you have to keep hearing it.
Mhm.
You have to keep seeing it, because it's not real. It's just not real to people, man. Mr. Marlon, we're going to be meeting with people. I'm going to meet with a client tomorrow, I believe. And the whole key to that is this guy wants to be signed.
Mhm.
Now, we can say you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that.
But if he's made up his mind,
He's made up his mind. And we're not dismissing that option for people. But this is what we want to do, and this is why we're having this heart-to-heart. Well, you're letting us have our heart-to-heart, okay? But this is why it's important that you hear this, because if we could just get you to consider momentarily at first,
a different option.
yeah, maybe there is something I can do differently, then we've served our purpose.
But we're going to give you the evidence.
We're going to keep giving it to them.
It's out there. There's a movement going on. This
Yes.
is not something we made up.
No, we did not make this up.
I mean, you're seeing it. I mean, I did some research about a young 17-year-old kid.
Talk to me about it.
And this was in response to the band that I talked to, and they were like, well, all those people you mentioning, they were signed to a major first.
Okay, talk to
So
me.
it made what I was saying, they tried to make it irrelevant.
Yeah,
So I'm like, okay, well, I know it's hundreds of other people out there
yeah,
that are doing it entirely from the off-the-grid standpoint,
yes, right.
Not 2 or 3 seconds later on the internet, found a 17-year-old kid.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Christopher Drew is his name.
Okay.
He formed a band project called Never Shout Never.
Never shout never.
And caught him online doing a show in Chicago.
Mhm.
But
Signing off for Resistance Headquarters.
for the rest of this program, click on part 3.
What have you done?
What are you doing?
And what will you do
For the movement. We'll see you guys next time.
thrive off the grid until you build leverage to get back on the grid on your terms if you so choose?